All right, well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate it. I'd like to, of course, say a couple things before we get started. Number one, it's come to my attention that today is the first time we're going to be trying out our closed captioning on the review of this show, and as it gets aired on Channel 2, which I know you guys are all watching that more than the Olympics. And so as you all sort of come up and sort of speak, we'd ask that you please speak into the microphone because that's going to be part of making sure that this is a success, and our fellow commissioners as well, if you don't mind speaking into your mics throughout the day. So we appreciate that. Second of all, I'd like to sort of welcome our past commissioner and our wonderful supporter, Anita Gorman, who's here joining us today. So Ms. Gorman, thank you so much for being here. We always like to have our fellow commissioners up here. We're more than happy to sort of make room for you if you want to come sit up here if you like. We'd always welcome that opportunity. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes. I know we've all had the opportunity to take a look at those. And given that, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was it motion seconded? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Next order of business, the resolution number 29878 regarding the honoring of the late Dr. Robert Hodge.
Yes, Commissioners, we have before you a resolution for your consideration to honor Dr. Robert Hodge, who we lost, and a very sad occasion. I know that he meant a lot to this department, and the resolution does reflect that, kind of building some of the roots and the foundations of our organization, and I know a lot of what we benefit from today came from his leadership, and I think folks, of course, that are familiar with the park system are aware of Hodge Park and what that park means to the Northland, and to the entire city for that matter, and what we know it's like to be a park commissioner, and he set the bar pretty high for us, and we've honored him all those years, and it's one of those occasions that I hate to see park commissioners pass, but anyway, those great roots. And glad to have his family with us today, Commissioners, and you may want to say some other comments about that from the fellow board members, and then I believe we'd like to have some comments from the family.
Yes. Anybody like to say anything first? Yes, Alan?
Yeah, I just think it's great to see you all here. Growing up in the Northland, it was a huge park for me to go to when I was little. I went there all the time and just absolutely loved it, and still do. And he was a great person, and great for this department, and great Kansas City, and appreciate all that he's done, and just glad to have you here, and glad that we can honor him today.
And being a fellow Northlander, I have the same memory, and the thing about that park, it's probably got the best diversity of any park in the system other than maybe Swope Park, and it's a real crowning jewel for the Northland, and we're very pleased and very proud to have his name on it.
I would love to hear from the family if you all would like to say a few words on behalf of Dr. Hodge.
Now,
Yes, please.
being short, shall I just?
Yeah, if we can up here to the mic, if that's okay, yes.
That do it?
Yes, fantastic, thank you.
Please see them.
This way?
Turn that way.
Well, that's right, I'm speaking to you.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to have this opportunity, and I want to thank you so much for this very special honor. You're celebrating a man who certainly felt privileged to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation. I enjoyed those years too, although I didn't have the responsibility. There were serious times and some humorous times. I wonder if Anita Gorman remembers the article in the Kansas City Star reporting that Dr. Hodge, internist, had delivered a baby gorilla at the zoo. The truth was that he had been able to borrow a necessary incubator because the baby was premature. His patients, however, said that they certainly did not know that their doctor was taking care of the wild zoo animals. Please know how much we appreciate, Robert and Richard and I, this very special tribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go down there and give this to him.
Yeah.
That's okay. We have here something we'd like to sort of share with you in memory of Dr. Hodge. And we're going to come down there to give it to you, and we're going to also take a picture, and if that's okay with you. So we'll be coming down your way. I would read the whole thing, but it's lengthy.
It's not in Spanish.
It is not in Spanish. Well, if no. I'd say right here, we'll give this to you here, and then what we can do is position ourselves around you, and if you don't mind us taking a picture with you, that's okay. That's fine. We take that. Yeah, we'll stand behind you. We'll have to hold that. Yeah, over here. No. Join us, please. I didn't know which side. No. Go ahead, you guys. You want me to sit? Yeah, get it. Let's just get you in the picture, and we'll take all.
Can we get Jerry? Jerry, you have to be up here.
Thank you very much.
We got some business items, like, we got some change orders and contract amendments.
Exciting stuff. Well, you talked about the good times and the bad.
That's DVD. Closed session to discuss.
Yes, that's it. I think that's why it's in close.
John Paul, let's make sure, Jerry Darter.
I just realized Jerry Darter was here. I didn't.
We're trying to get him in the picture, but now he's gonna.
Yes,
go back.
yes, Jerry, wait. We have to at least allow us to recognize former director Jerry Darter here. It's fantastic to have you here. Thanks so much for being here as well.
Yeah, we have Emerald Ash Borer in our city right now, and Forrest Decker can give you some insight into how we're gonna try to, we need to put you on contract to solve that.
Yeah, we're gonna need your expertise very
I'm a
much.
woodworker, and ash is one of my very favorite woods.
Good, we got plenty of wood.
Very good. Thank you all for being here.
Take care.
Okay. Moving forward on to the next item of business, resolution number 29879.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a memorandum of understanding with the Penn Valley Park Conservancy. And you have a memo in your packet from Forrest Decker that kind of outlines what's involved in this particular MOU. Forrest is here, and I know we have a couple guests, and
Yes.
Forrest, I'm sure, will introduce our guests.
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
I'll just hang around up here to answer questions or anything as we go on, but I would just like to introduce these two first, and they can tell you a little bit about what they've been doing. Current President David Disney, Donna Boley.
Yes.
Past President, I believe. All right, you guys want to pop up here?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
My speech is only an hour, so I'll be brief.
Before you get started, though, I see you voted. I imagine that you voted yes for question one.
There's only one way to vote. There's only one way to vote.
Exactly.
It's a
Thank you very
strong day
much.
for the parks. We appreciate this opportunity to join with the parks and help protect and preserve our parks. Long term, we've put in quite a few hours collectively with the advocates that we've been able to recruit to help with preserving Penn Valley Park. And as we look forward to the next vision, we're going to be working on some future plans to also help open up the parks and get more people back in the park. So we just appreciate this opportunity to work together, and we have good partners, and thank you for this. You want to say anything? All right, so I didn't use my full hour. You have more time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments regarding this resolution?
I'll make some
Yes,
comments.
please.
I've been out there, and I just really appreciate everything that you all are doing. It's remarkable to see the changes in the park out there. It's beautiful. when we get everything done out there, it's just going to be remarkable, and it just continues. And with your work, it's a wonderful partnership. We thank you very, very much for everything you do.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, just about the resolution as it's written. Under Parks and Recreation obligations, letter C says enter into agreements with the Conservancy to partner on programs that benefit the park. Just as written, it's kind of binding. Not to say that we wouldn't enter into agreements, but maybe we could revise it to say consider entering into agreements rather than how it's currently written.
Okay, I believe that is how it is written in the actual
Okay.
memorandum. I was trying to summarize here. I apologize for not making that a little more clear. But yeah, it doesn't bind us to enter into any agreements with the Penn Valley Park Conservancy. It
Okay.
gives us the option of doing so,
Okay.
Very good.
if mutually agreed upon, of course. So.
Fantastic. I'd just like to say thank you both for your commitment. I know you guys do this as volunteers. We're happy to double your pay if you like on the work. It's a fantastic partnership that we have with the private sector and with our residents of Kansas City, Missouri. I've seen that park transform tremendously over the past 15, 10, 5 years. Every few years, it just gets better and better. And I think a lot of that is due, obviously, to our department, but it's also due to the partnership we have with you all and your group. And so we thank you very much for this effort, and we look forward to continuing to work with you guys.
Thank you.
We're very excited. He mentioned the strategic plan, and we've been able to get Leon Younger, who was a former Parks Director for Jackson County Park System, and then went to be head of the Park System in Indianapolis, and now has a consulting firm that does consulting across the country. And so we were able to get him. He's very interested in working with us and knows the park system in doing the strategic plan.
That's great.
So we're really excited about that.
Great. Thank you.
You know, there's probably one other partner that's not here today, and that's the police department. The Kansas City, Missouri Police Department has several candidates that need a day of service that they often bring to help with us when we're down there working with our chainsaws and removing brush, and it's very helpful that they have embraced the program as well, because that volunteer labor that comes to help on those days is very much appreciated.
Very much. Great. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
With that, I'd ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
And is there a second? Second. So motion seconded. Any further questions, comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Resolution passes. I need to go back and thank you. Ask for a motion to approve the resolution of honoring Dr. Hodge. I realized I didn't do that, so.
moved. Second.
All right. Well, didn't even have to ask. Very good. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29880.
Yes, Commissioners, this is consideration of a licensed facility use agreement for the Rhythm and Ribs Jazz Festival, October 13th in the 18th and Vine area, and it's with the American Jazz Museum. Shannon?
Thank you, Mr. McHenry. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
We've got the Rhythm and Ribs Festival coming up in Parade Park. It's a one-day event, October 13th, like discussed. This is going on about the third annual for the coordinators at the American Jazz Museum, and I have with us today Greg Carroll, and he can discuss this year's event, attendance from last year. This, like I said, this is a one-day event, and this will close the Greg Cleiss Community Center for that one day on October
Okay.
13th. So,
Great.
Well, thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
And I do not have my voting tag on yet.
Okay.
My time to vote is right after this meeting,
Excellent.
and it will be yes.
All right. great.
How's that sound?
Thank you for your support. Yeah.
I just want to,
Consideration.
right answer, right?
We can pass this resolution.
Yeah, you said you could pass this right away, huh? I just want to start by thanking everybody, the Parks Board, particularly thanking Mark and all of the great staff here. Shannon and Heidi have been just extremely exceptional to deal with. I want to thank Carol Green over at Greg Cleiss Center, who beautifully opens her door for us. We turned the Greg Cleiss Center into the artist commune, the place where all of our headliner artists get a chance to sort of collect and sort of gather their thoughts and get into the zone before the big performance. So it really means a lot to us when we did the re-footprinting, if you will, of the festival, to be able to use that space. So we want to thank you for that partnership. As Shannon had alluded to, this year will mark the 7th year of the Rhythm and Ribs Jazz Festival. There was a one-year hiatus. We, like everybody else, got our tethers kicked from the economic downturn, so we had to take a year off to kind of refill the fundraising well, if you will, and so we've come back pretty strong. And collectively, we've entertained over 100,000 guests that have come to enjoy the great talent and all of the happenings in the district. The nice thing about the festival is that it also has a great residual effect within the Jazz District. A lot of the businesses receive good foot traffic from the day, and people have a good time hanging out, partying, and of course happily departing with their money, which is always good for our stakeholders within the district. So again, we want to thank you for your partnership. A couple of special items. The festival last year was voted as the best music festival in Kansas City by the CVA Visitors' Choice Award. So we're really happy for that distinction, and we've taken advantage to put that on every single one of our collateral materials, letting people know, so it becomes another moniker of which we market this great festival. On tap this year at the festival is some pretty stellar talent. We've pretty much pulled out all the stops, and we're bringing in some exceptional talent that I think will have a little bit of something for everyone, including the legendary R&B artist sensation Angie Stone. So if you like to do this, come on down, because Angie Stone's going to make you do this. And you might even lose this if you have one. We're also bringing in a dear friend of mine, legendary Grammy Award-winning trumpeter, Latin artist Arturo Sandoval. He'll be here with his group. A Grammy Award-winning blues sensation, Joe Louis Walker, will be here. A dear friend from New York, a great baritone sax player who's coming to us by way of support from the makers of our Blue Room Pale Ale. The North Coast Brewing Company is bringing in Claire Daly and her Baritone Monk project that's a tribute to Thelonious Monk. She's also our artist in residence this year. She'll be working with kids, working with the attending audience, and educational workshops, panel sessions, and all of those good things. And of course, we have a long list of local, regional, stellar talent. We're going to employ the McFadden brothers to be not only entertainers on the main stage, but we want them to be our MCs on the main stage, because they do such a great job. If you've ever seen the McFadden brothers, they're very engaging, and so we think they're going to bring it on and have a great opportunity. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you have. The festival is the second Saturday in October, October 13th. As Shannon had alluded to, it's a one-day festival. Our hope is this year the audience will demand for us to begin to expand the festival, and we'll look at maybe expanding that festival to a two-day festival, of course, depending on the demand from the audience and the response from our sponsors and donors, and then look at a re-footprinting later on down the road. So I'll stop there and answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions at this time or comments?
I guess my usual question, what do you anticipate the attendance to be from this year?
We anticipated probably about a 15% increase this year. We had about 8,500 people attend last year. There was a combination of paid attendees in the festival and also the residual effect from the district. We're anticipating about 10,000 people this year.
Well, he's right into my wheelhouse on my comments on the types of things where the Parks Department partners with various entities to bring economic activity and revenue to the city, and I think this is just a prime example of that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure.
Any other questions, comments? Wish you the best of success. Looking forward to it.
And we have little handouts for everybody. We know you all will be presented with tickets. We want you to come to the festival and enjoy it, but we'll certainly give you some bookmarks so that not only you can save the date, but you can tell about 250 or 500 of your closest friends.
Very good.
To join you for the
They're just my
event.
cousins alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So motion is seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29881.
Yes, Commissioner, this is a MOU with the Vicki Welsh Fund Spelman Medical Foundation for an upcoming event, another opportunity to dye a couple of our fountains. In this case, we're looking at the color of teal. So you must be Lee.
And you wearing teal.
The teal sweater on.
Just wanted to make sure you knew our color. I'm happy to be here. Well, thank you so much for having me
Oh,
today,
welcome.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
yes, our color is teal, and we actually had heard that Ronald McDonald had colored the fountain one time, and we got calls because it was very similar to our own teal. But we're looking forward to September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and it's the national agenda for that. We have several activities going on in Kansas City that we hope will coincide with the fountains. We're having PSAs with NBC 41 talking about ovarian cancer awareness. We will have the Whisper Walk, which is the 8th annual event at Zona Rosa. As a Northlander, we're happy to include the Northland Fountain in this initiative if possible. And several things that we're trying to get out into the community with September. So we thank you that we can also do the fountains.
Any questions? Stop. Any comments? Thank you very much. We
Okay,
appreciate it.
I also
Yes.
have, I would be remiss if I
Ah.
did not leave some pamphlets
Please do.
of ovarian cancer awareness.
Great.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
We
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Oh, you still want to say something? Sorry, Okay, good. Okay, just want to make sure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Resolution passes. Got ahead of me there. Resolution number 29882.
Okay, staying with the theme of coloring the water in fountains, the next one is with the Kansas City Chiefs, and that would be red. And Heidi, do you have any comments on this one?
We're going to have very colorful fountains this fall. As you know, last meeting, we approved purple fountains for the Alzheimer's. Then we'll have a day of one fountain being red. By the way, I'll follow up on Greg Carroll's comment. The J.C. Nichols fountain was voted by the Convention and Visitors Association as Kansas City's favorite fountain, so we're right up there with them. That one will be red for the Chiefs, and then we'll segue into the teal fountains, and then in upcoming meetings, I'll have your MOU for approval with the pink fountains, which we've been doing for quite a few years. So we've been doing the red fountain. I think this will be the third year. Go Chiefs. It's their year.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
this is something about dangerous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard that. Any questions, comments?
Be optimistic.
All right, yes.
I'm always excited about the next
That's
season,
right.
the new season.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
All right, motion is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 29883.
Yes, Commissioner, this is a resolution for acceptance of right-of-way. You have a memo in your packet from Steve Abbott, and I'm going to let Steve explain all this.
Okay. If you look in your packet, basically, this is a right-of-way dedication for Shoto Traffic Way on the west side of the, where Vivian goes north to Antioch. There's a plat in your packet. It's a couple pages back. It's on the west side of Shoto Traffic Way. Basically, Shoto Traffic Way right now, the right-of-way is 80 feet. That's 40 feet from the center line going in either direction. The developer, Antioch Redevelopment Partners, is willing to dedicate 10 feet of right-of-way, which would make the right-of-way from the center line going into the development 50 feet. That would give us eventually 100 feet of right-of-way, which would be the minimum right-of-way requirement for boulevard standards. This is at no cost to the city. This is dedication by plat.
And so does this go all the way from,
You're looking at
that's
the,
Vivian Road all the way over to Antioch Road?
yeah, this is Vivian Road at the bottom, if you're looking at a plat.
So all
And
the
this
way
is
around.
Antioch up at the north. And that little strip right there, and there's an exhibit within the, if you look at this one right here, that black line, well, it's 10 feet. So from the center line, which is this dotted line right here, to the west is 50 feet. And the legal description was verified by Land Development Division of City Planning and Development. That's also in your packet.
Questions? Comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So motion is seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Resolution passes. Steve, you're back up again, resolution number 29884.
This is another right-of-way dedication by plat for the Staley Meadows third plat. Staley Meadows LLC has prepared this plat and is willing to dedicate actually 200 feet in width of right-of-way for Shoal Creek Parkway, which is currently under design by Cook Flat and Strobel. And if you look at the plat in your packet, north is up. Woodland would be right about here. Harrison would be right about here. Garney Park would be just to the north. And once again, this is a dedication by plat, no cost to the city. And there's a memo in there from Land Development Division with City Planning and Development that verifies the legal description. And there's kind of a location map right there.
This ties into 108th Street.
Yes.
Are there any questions? Steve? Any comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number 29885 regarding 9th Amendment.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a change order. Actually happens to be the very last change order, and appropriately so. This is to wrap up the work and keep the contract open to do some irrigation on the fields. And the memo spells out the details that kind of get you to that point as far as the scope of work and the compensation associated with this change order with Titan Construction. And if you have any more questions on that, Steve Abbott can answer those.
Okay. Any questions of Steve regarding this change order?
So this is a fifth change order, adding 67,000 and then another 99 calendar days on this.
Correct.
Okay.
Were these things that just weren't foreseen initially? Or
These were, a lot of these items were valued engineered out of the project when we ran into the unsuitable fill that we had to redirect some of the money to. And these are a lot of the items that are being redirected into the project.
Well, we did some of the excavation plan prep for these fields, soccer fields, right? That's when we found that railroad sludge. That
Right.
sort of- Right.
Metallic slag.
Slag, thank you.
Right.
That was unsuitable.
Right.
So we needed to sort of figure that out. And there was a partnership, I think, we also got some dollars from, what was it, the U.S. Soccer Foundation that we partnered with.
Yeah, we got the field turf itself, which is the carpet, I guess, if you could describe it, came from the U.S. Soccer Foundation.
Mhm. We also utilized a lot of the developer allotment fees.
Yeah, so we addressed this a while back. I think this is just coming up, this is a sort of closing out of all that sort of work. I think it was also, we received some report from, some support from some of the council members as well, and.
Yeah,
this
we
is just
did.
$5 as well.
Councilman Jermaine Reed and Councilwoman Melba Curls brought some other money forward, but it was kind of a scheduling issue as far as timing on the funding and the work being done.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
And this is a final change order,
Great.
How do we know that?
because we're not going to accept any more.
All right.
Well, because the architect told us.
Okay.
Good question.
I guess I just have one more question. I know we've talked about this a little bit on this, but is there I don't know, are there rules that we go by, and I'm not thinking formal rules, but just sort of a decision-making process on how we add this, just a change order to the existing contractor versus when does it become a new project that we put it out to bid to do something on the same project, but another piece? Is there?
I don't know, Mark, I think if a change order price exceeds the original contract amount, then we'd probably have to go out for a new contract.
Let me also add to that,
Just trying to think
Yeah.
about
yeah,
thinking
and we had some
process.
questions at our last meeting about
Yes,
change
correct.
orders, and
Okay.
that was a continuation of, I believe, a curb and sidewalk contract with Leeds and Sons. And Travis is going to prepare something for you on, he's not in here today. He's going to give you a little more comprehensive response to that. And had he been here today, he would be doing that. He happens to be anyway, he's working the holes is what he's doing. But he will be here at the next board meeting to give you a more comprehensive review of all that. Because change orders, like, these do vary. This one has probably a little bit different set of circumstances associated with it than maybe the one we talked about 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to let him explain all that in more detail. And I think, hopefully, that'll answer your questions.
And I didn't mean, you know, all these are good contractors that we work with, and I'm just wondering.
Well, I think it was answered a little earlier. He said that it was pulled out when we found the soil problems.
Right.
And so it was in the original scope of the
A lot of these
contract.
items got
And now
valued engineered
there's
out.
money there, and we can complete that at this point in time.
Yeah, I was just thinking on more in
Sure.
general.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's a
How
good
we
question.
think
We
about
had a
these
good discussion at the last meeting, and what we were trying to do is say, look, from a macro sense, we want to understand how these things sort of occur over a period of, you know, a year or 2 years, you know, to sort of look, see if there's trends, if there's things that we're sort of doing. And just to become even more educated, looking at these things on a one-to-one basis sometimes is a little difficult to sort of
Yeah,
disseminate.
quite likely, and I'd have to let Travis answer it in more detail, but a change order today that sits in front of you at $67,000, when that first comes to us from the contractor, it could have been a $87,000 change order, but there's a back and forth negotiation to kind of work their way down on these, so you're seeing the end result of some staff diligence at that time. And so that's an example of kind of how these things work. And yeah, quite frankly, the reason on this one, because of the fact of the conditions of the soil.
Right.
When you pull something out of a project, you garner savings from the contractor, but then if you have to put it back in, there's going to be an up cost. And a lot of this has to do with timing too, as far as keeping things going. I'll give you one clear example of what happens on a project like this. If you can visualize, having been up to 9th and Van Brunt, right when you come out of the parking lot, there is a big electrical box right there. Have anybody visualized the electrical box? We designed that project to put that electrical box inside the concession building. That was the plan. We pulled the concession building off the project because we couldn't afford it at the time because we had to put the money into the fair in the ground. But we had to put that installed somewhere because we're putting lights on the field. Well, it had to go somewhere. Well, by the time we put that electrical box up there and put the lights up, then the concession building came back in, but then it was too late to put that inside the building. So it's kind of a staggered timing issue, and it gets a little complicated somewhere. But when you start to dissect it into pieces, it tends to make a little bit more sense. And, but there
I
again,
think as we get better educated about
Yeah.
the change orders,
Yeah.
you know, we are fighting as everybody in the department is,
Sure.
a battle of saying, you know, you guys have this money and we don't know what you're doing with it. And as we become better educated, we can communicate that to people and so
Yeah.
that they know that their tax dollars are working hard
Yeah.
for them.
It was a great question.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Well, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Or did we already do that? Did we officially do it? We did. I thought we did. I think, yeah, you asked the question after we already approved it, so,
I did?
yes. Thank you. I just looked back, I thought I marked it, like, yeah, we did. Okay, resolution number thank you, Steve. 29886 regarding the acceptance of gifts and contributions.
Yes, one gift, Mill Creek Park Association, and I think, wasn't this the benches around the Nichols Fountain, Steve, and the concrete?
Yeah, same organization that, you know, donated $28,000 for fitness equipment for the park not too long ago.
Fantastic.
Commissioner Bryant's on that board along with myself, and so, yeah, they've been very supportive even as of the issue today, so
Great partnership that we have.
they are.
Fantastic. Is there a motion to accept the gifts?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is seconded, and all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Director's report.
Yes, major construction, Steve?
You have one? Okay. What you're looking at, the first page, is the Briarcliff Greenway Trail. This is one of Richard Allen's projects. And basically, this is a neighborhood connector from residential areas up to Briarcliff Elementary School. In this area, most of the residential streets do not have sidewalks. This makes it a lot easier, safer for the kids to walk and for the general public to navigate the neighborhood. This is in the Briarcliff Greenway. It's west of North Oak Traffic Way from Northeast 40th Street to Briarcliff Elementary School. It's about 1,700 linear feet. This project should be completed in October. As you can see, the way Richard fitted into the landscape, he did minimal disruption to the trees. It's 8 feet wide, asphalt pavement. That's, the reason for that is that's how wide their paving machine is. So the second page just gives you a different perspective of where they're at with that project. You can see the shoulders, those will be backfilled with topsoil, so it won't be an ankle breaker, and it'll be a nice transition. That's the Briarcliff Greenway Trail. The contractor is National Streetscape. The second set of photographs, that's the Daniel Morgan Boone Park Trail. This site was a real challenge because we started this trail on Brooklyn Avenue, which is on the east side of the park, and we wanted to get to the top of the park, which there is a historical cemetery. There's 40 feet of grade change from top to bottom. This is ADA compliant. It's about 900 linear feet of concrete trail. That's what it took to keep that grade at a maximum of 5%, which is ADA requirement. It's a 7-foot wide concrete trail, and developer allotment fees funded this one. If you look at the second page on this, you can see there's the first pass and the final grading operation, so they fit the trail into the landscape quite nicely. They respected the topography as well as possible. If you look at the second page, there's a car back in the background. That's a city car, that's Brooklyn, and then you can see the grade starts to come up. So that's the Daniel Morgan Boone Park Trail, and we're planning a dedication on that August or September. We won't have grass seed because it's too hot for anything to germinate right now, but it'll be strawed and be ready for dedication. The next one is the Kemp Park improvements. That's a project that Heather Runkle is working on. And basically, this is it's located at 10th and Harrison. It's just east of the downtown loop. It's one of our really urban parks. Project includes a perimeter trail which connects to the existing playground. Project also includes a new drinking fountain, benches, informal play fields. The trail will be make this park more accessible to the general public. The second page gives you some views of the park looking to downtown, looking southwest, and looking south. The top photograph on this page, the second page, you can see a little bump out. That's where a bench would go. It would be ADA accessible as well. If there's no questions, that's my report.
What, so how far are these trails? I mean, you might have said, but I...
Boone Hayes.
Distance.
The Boone Hayes one, or Daniel Morgan Boone Trail Park, from Brooklyn to the top of the cemetery, to the top of the park where the cemetery is located, is about 900 linear feet. It's concrete, 7 feet wide.
Okay.
The Briarcliff Trail ultimately would be about 1,700 linear feet. And those connect neighborhoods. The Kemp Trail is basically a perimeter park trail around the park.
Okay, the two, Daniel Morgan and Briarcliff are neighborhood connectors.
Right, they're neighborhood
Okay.
connectors.
Is there any way you can email me a copy of these pictures, please?
I'd be happy to.
Great.
The whole set?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
I have a question. I noticed we've had some discussions on the different surface types of trails. And I noticed one, we have the asphalt and the Briarcliff, and then at Daniel Morgan, we're looking at the other one, we're looking at Kemp Park, we're looking at cement. I was wondering.
Budget has a lot to do with that.
Okay.
We got more linear feet out of asphalt with the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
I was at the groundbreaking of Briarcliff about 3.5, 4 years ago. I'm very glad to see this through because it's right down at the bottom of the hill below the school, and it gives tremendous access into a lot of the neighborhood. And as previously stated, there are no sidewalks there. And I am totally impressed with the way it's adapted to the terrain and the trees. Because I remember seeing this area and I wondered, how are they going to get through there? They've done a magnificent job.
Right.
Greatly appreciated.
Morgan Boone was a real challenge.
That one too.
This is the Briarcliff Trail, there's Main Street, this is 40th right here, this is Briarcliff Elementary School, this is the trail that we're putting in.
Yeah. There's a program called the Walking School Bus, if you may have heard of that. I mean, that's kind of what this one is kind of patterned after, because this is an elementary school where then the kids gather where Dave mentioned we had the groundbreaking. So the mothers can bring the kids to this one location, and then the walking school bus, they kind of walk arm in arm along the trail to get up to the school. So it's a good model for the walking school bus program.
That's good.
Any further questions, comments?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Heidi?
I'm handing out a couple things to you, which I will explain in a minute. The first thing I want to go over is the last thing I've handed out here. But with the popularity now of our fountains being dyed, I thought I would kind of go over the guidelines that I use for dyeing of the fountains, who can do it, what can be dyed, how much it costs to be dyed. I've kind of, over the last couple of years, made this more consistent. In the past, it kind of was like negotiated kind of piece by piece, and now we have some consistency to who, what, why, when, and how you can dye our fountains. So if you take a look here, you'll see that there's only a handful of them that are available to be dyed, and that is because of the pumps that these have, and these will not be hurt, I guess, by the dye, discolored in any way. They're easy to clean out and maintain with the color in them, and they're visible. So that's the fountains that we have chosen that can be dyed. They're open to nonprofit organizations and or city-sponsored events. There's some information here about the signage that needs to be provided that we do put up for the organizations that pay for the fountains to be dyed. No two organizations may use the same dye color, I guess I should say that, in the same year. Because as Leah mentioned, last year Ronald McDonald chose teal to do their fountains, which I thought you would think red or yellow, but, well, yellow fountains, you don't ever want to do that color. But they did choose teal to do their fountain dyeing last year, but they're not doing it this year. So the ovarian cancer was able to take the teal color. And they have to all be dyed during the same time frame. You can't have one dyed and then a couple weeks later dye another one, the color. And then we, of course, reserve the right to limit, and it's a 10-day maximum. And then if you'll see here, the cost for dyeing ranging from the 1 days to the 10 days. There also is additional charges if we have to do a special event, a dyeing event or such, on the weekend or the holidays.
What, it says open to not-for-profit groups or city-sponsored events, but what about the Chiefs? I mean,
Well, that's
city-
considered a kind of a city-sponsored event, Red Friday.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Kind of like Major League Ball in the All-Star Game.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not
That's the
against
way
I'm
I
just saying
define
it's
it.
not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, city-sponsored, is Red Friday an actual city-sponsored event? I have no idea, but I think
Okay,
it's probably
maybe I'll-
something, I just want to, you know, if you're going to make it clear, because I don't know.
So-
Is it a city-sponsored event? I have no idea. I mean, is
Sort
it?
of informally. Yeah, I don't
Sure.
know if it's-
Right. I mean, I participate, I'm a big believer in it, but.
No, I think that's a good point,
Yeah.
because you're right.
Just want to tie it down.
Let's be clear.
and
Yeah,
maybe
I
charge
can work
them
on the
more.
terminology of that one.
Probably, yeah, because the Royals will be the same thing.
Mhm.
And
It's a business, but it's a.
It's a business, but,
asset,
yeah,
too.
exactly, maybe it's a way to define that. yeah.
Okay, well, if you figure out a better verbiage for that, let me know.
Some better language, yeah.
Right.
so, okay.
These are just guidelines.
No, this is, yeah, this is great. I had one question. So you mentioned these fountains. So in the future, when we have money and have to replace some pumps and fountains, as things go out, then could other fountains, I guess, be put back, could be added to this list because they suddenly have new pumps that can handle this?
Steve?
Or is this
You
sort of?
mean from a mechanical standpoint, could you include
Yeah,
others?
she
You
said that
could-
some
yeah,
just
sure,
couldn't do it
sure.
because of the
A lot of it has to do
level
with,
they
you
are.
know, yeah, the sculptures in the middle of the fountain and
Right.
what, you know, is there any?
What the fountain's made of,
damage
yeah.
or,
Right.
You know, does it windy consistently and then it would stain something out, you know, but yeah, it's a good point. We'll certainly look at it, we're open to it. Sure.
Yeah, these are just the ones we're currently dying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is great.
Sure.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Other things that I have, of course, we are preparing for the Ethnic Enrichment Festival. You'll see it setting up over there in Swope Park. That is the weekend of August 17th through the 19th. And so you'll see the little villages coming up here over the next couple of weeks. We do have it on your schedule and on your board calendar and request that you attend the Parade of Flags on that Saturday, the 18th at 4 p.m. I handed you out a little card about the Brush Creek Art Walk exhibit. I don't know if any of you got a chance to make it down, but it was an amazing event. I'd like to thank Ann Garney for all the work, the former commissioner, and all the work that she put into making this event happen. It was really cool. It was not cool weather-wise, but it was a great event. We had 65 artists come out and paint in the 100-degree heat for 3 days, just all along Brush Creek. It made for some really great pictures. If you get an opportunity to go onto the Brush Creek Art Walk Facebook page and look at their pictures, we also have some on ours as well. But it was just, it just really added to the atmosphere of the plaza and the Brush Creek area. So that was cool. And then we concluded with a concert which had some really amazing bands play, and people actually came out for that as well. But the conclusion of this, and kind of the highlight for me, is this exhibit, which will take place on August the 23rd from 5 to 7 at the UMKC Gallery of Fine Art, and it will feature 60 paintings that were done there over the 3 days on plein air. There were like I said, there were 65 that participated. Each of the artists can submit up to 3 works that they had to do that weekend to be included in the exhibit, which will be juried down to only 60 works of art. So the 60 best from the weekend will be hung, and they will be for sale as well. And the award winners, of course, will be included in that 60. So if you can't make it out for that opening, you from 5 to 7 on the 23rd. The exhibit will be hung through the 12th, so you can stop by and check it out. Again, I was so amazed by this event because everything was so different. They painted in all of the mediums. There's contemporary, there's, the abstract, there was just the literal paintings. So you'll see everything. And it's really cool to see the way people interpret Brush Creek and the beauty that it is. So come on down for that. And then I handed you out the Dippin' Dog Swim Party flyer. We've been doing this for 5 years up at the Springs in partnership with 810 Sports Radio. And this is going to be the first year that we're going to also offer it at the Bay Water Park. So if you're a dog lover, you must be to come out to this event, because otherwise it will drive you nuts. It's absolutely insane. We have a couple hundred wet dogs running around taking over the pool, but it's a blast. It's one of the best attended and most fun events that we do have. So again, it's September the 6th from 4 to 7 at the Bay, and then September the 8th, which is a Saturday, from noon to 4 at the Springs. And then, speaking of dogs still, we will have our dedication of the new off-leash dog park in Swope Park. And that will be on Saturday, August the 25th at 10. And that's also a pet fair. We're doing it in conjunction with this expo that's traveling around the country. They'll be in our park that day to help open up the dog park. And there's a lot of excitement about this. As you know, it will be the second off-leash dog park in Kansas City, Missouri, which is a super huge deal. So I anticipate a really good attendance for that, and come on out and bring your dogs as well. And then I'm just going to include the fountain dines on here so that you know, on my report, so that you know when and why the fountains are colored.
Great. Colored ink, that's pretty neat.
Oh yeah, fancy.
Well, great.
I just have 2 quick questions. Sports Radio 810, so they have their crew up there, they just broadcast from up there all day. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, Kevin Keitzman, I think, will come out and do broadcast. Or is it Keitzman? I always get it wrong. Thank you. Sorry, Kevin. We'll come out and do broadcast from there. And then they have partnerships also with, like, Gary Lezak, with the television station that they coordinate with. Gary Lezak comes out. Holly Starr will come out. And they do pet pageants and contests. And, yeah, Sports Radio, or 810, actually just kind of does it for us. They get vendors out there, and they really are the people who coordinate it, and then give all the money back to us, and then NAWS, which is the Northland Animal Welfare Society.
So I was noticing benefiting the local rescue organizations.
Yeah, it's typically NAWS up north, and then this year they've also added, I gave you the latest flyer, they're doing, asking for you to bring pet food. They're doing a pet food drive as well.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing, there's nobody signed up. Quick calendar review, do we need to just do that really quick? and then
Just
we're gonna go
quickly,
to-
yeah, I think we've covered, I mean, of course, there's a Platte County Park Partners tomorrow up at Zona Rosa. Heidi's highlighted that weekend of the Ethnic Festival. Also, I think you may have heard about the event to occur on the Truce Bridge, Sly's Rock the Block. This is from 4 to midnight, August 18th on the Truce Bridge. This is, if you were there for the opening of the Truce Bridge, the bridge was closed and the street was closed there at 47 Terrace. And so it's kind of a little bit of a shadowing of that effect for some family fun entertainment. Then the closing part of this is the final Club KC events that are occurring, has been, of course, occurring at the community centers, and this will be on the bridge that day. So anyway, and we're, of course, working with the mayor's office on this, and KC Hoops and KC Club, and kind of a culmination of Southern Rec activities. And that's, they're again on the afternoon of the 18th, and then, as Heidi mentioned earlier, so at the same time, basically, the Parade of Flags. And of course, Parade of Flags at 4, and then, of course, this goes on well past 4 o'clock on the bridge. Our next board meeting is at Hillcrest Community Center. We're talking about kind of moving around, make sure we're clear on that. So we're scheduled for 1 o'clock, I guess, is when we start on the 21st, 2 weeks from today. Little Memorial Association has a Board of Trustees meeting on the 23rd, and then, of course, Heidi mentioned the dog park on the 25th, and that gets us through the month of August. And then the only thing else I wanted to say is I really want to thank the commissioners for all the efforts they've done on the campaign. Clap, clap. No matter what happens as the sun goes down today, as far as how people vote, we appreciate your efforts, putting all the extra effort, and whether it was on the media or writing letters or making calls and raising money and all it takes to do that, we really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
And I'd just like to say, I thank staff for all your efforts as well. We really appreciate, you coordinating things, helping us out, and just the information you're putting out there, and willingness to be there to answer the public's questions about this. We thank you for that, and I feel good going into this evening, and looking forward to celebrating with you all later on today on the good results. So thank you. With that,
I'd like to move that we go into closed session to discuss legal, real estate, or personnel issues pursuant to revised Missouri statute section 610.021.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. How do you vote, Commissioner Dillingham?
Yes.
Commissioner Mecklenburg?
Yes.
Commissioner Chodan says aye.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm asking you. Right. Very good. We are now in closed session.
Very brief.
Yeah, that's-